Welcome to Complete Edition, the podcast between a PlayStation Trophy Hunter and an Xbox Achievement Hunter. This is episode 28, and I'm your host, Compulsive Nerd. I'm joined by AJ. How you doing, AJ?
I'm doing well. I can't believe it's been 2 weeks already. Time's just going so fast right now for me. So
I completely am on the same page as you. I cannot believe it's been 2 weeks, and it's kind of bad. I've been addicted to Backlogged, and so I could have been playing more Rogue Legacy, but instead I'm sitting on my computer, trying to mark all the games that I've played. And it's just I don't know. I don't know why that's so fun for me.
yeah, that's been me with. I've done that with Letterboxd, which is like the film version of
Yeah.
that site. I need to get onto Backlogged, and then I'll have the nightmare of both. But
It's
addictive.
it's incredibly addictive and kind of it's nostalgic a little bit. I mean, I've been adding PS1 games, Game Boy games, and I've been pulling them out and putting them in front of me so that I'm like, these are games that I played, and I keep having these nostalgia trips where I'm like, God damn, I remember playing this game when I was 8 years old. It's damn, it's cool. Yeah, I've been having some strange gaming takes this week, and I'll get to that. But I'd love to hear what's up in your life.
Oh, same stuff. So we had a long weekend. There's a bank holiday weekend for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee, I believe. So
That's interesting because over here in America, we just had a long weekend too for Memorial Day, and that's
yeah, it's the 60th anniversary of when she became queen. So there was sort of we had Thursday, Friday away from university, and I spent the weekend with some family, so it was quite nice, quite relaxing. Although it went so quickly, especially because you're traveling around, and then a bunch of your day is taken up by traveling, so going there and back to meet with people and hang out and stuff, so it just goes even quicker the amount of time that you do have. And yeah, other than that, just been doing more chemistry stuff in terms of research. I got to play a ton of Apex as well. I've been playing lots with Shane and some other friends as well, and it's just one of those things where it's another thing where time goes by immediately. You play a few games, but each game's 20 minutes to 30 minutes usually, unless you die immediately. So you play 5 games, and then it's oh, well, a bunch of hours have just gone, and I got to do something else. So yeah, I'm kind of, I think, slowing down on Apex though now. I think last week and the week before, I was really, really into it, playing a ton. I think I'll probably be slowing down. I say that just because I want to get to some other games, and I've started getting to some other games, and then I need to go back to Rogue Legacy. And also, so this weekend on Sunday, there's the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. So and there's also Jeff Keighley's thing this week, the Summer Game Fest thing this week. So I'm hoping that shows me a bunch of cool stuff that's coming soon, maybe some sequels to games that I haven't played, and that will sort of reignite my passion and make me want to play more of my backlog and more of different experiences I hadn't really considered up to this point. It's always exciting when you get to this E3 season, because you see lots of trailers for stuff and you think, oh hey, that developer is making this really cool game. What did they make in the past? Oh, I haven't seen that. I haven't experienced that. Let me go play it. So I'm hoping to get some inspiration from all the stuff that's happening this week.
Me too, and I'm actually, I feel like it's already started. The E3 season has begun. Sony kicked off with the State of Play, and now I'm waiting for the next ones.
Yeah, that was a great State of Play as well. State of Play normally pretty low expectations. Normally the PlayStation showcases are the big ones, but that State of Play was really good. They showed
ever since they started State of Play, I think this was hands down the best one.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people are saying there was no misses for them, and I think I'm on that same page. It's even that rollerblading game had some kind of appeal. It's every single thing they showed was really cool, and I don't know, I'm so excited to see what Bethesda brings out, what Xbox brings out. This is the time of the year where I get so excited for new video games, and then I get reinvigorated, and I'm like, oh, it's time to hunt, dude. Let's start playing games. And last week I did play some games, but I probably watched anime more than I played games. I just have been kind of settling into my apartment, and things are good, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna kick back in my recliner, and I'll get to the games that I played, which I did play more than I thought. But it's like last night I was cooking and I joined the Discord with a lot of the guys and just kind of like shot the shit for a while, and it was really fun. And then I watched a movie last night. I watched two movies this week, and that's not something I normally do. I don't normally watch movies. It's like I uh, our friend in common, Edwin. Was telling him, I was like, dude, movies are like on the bottom of like all of my entertainment list. I'd rather read a book. I'd rather watch TV. I'd rather watch anime. Rather play video games. All above movies. And so whenever I sit down to watch a movie, it's special. And I sat down and watched the Adam Project, which had Ryan Reynolds, and Ryan Reynolds makes me laugh. So I was like, I knew it was going to be a dumb movie, but
Yeah,
I
the way
sat
you were
down.
building that up, you were like, "Oh, I know it's really hard to get me to watch movies." So I finally watched like The Godfather or something. Like I thought it was going to be
No,
something like some like widely beloved piece of
and I
cinema, and
did.
then it.
I did. I ended up watching When Harry Met Sally, which is a great movie. It's 1989, and I love 80s movies. And yeah, I mean, when I told Edwin that, and like also the server, they all were like, "Whoa, oh, that's a good movie. Like that's actually good, and you're not wasting your time." And it's like, yeah, I mean, I sometimes do that. And the next one that I'm craving is Blade Runner. So whenever I want to watch a movie again, I want to watch Blade Runner. So
The Yeah, for me that's interesting. For me, I find like I love games, obviously, movies, TV, books. For me, the problem just becomes time. Like I feel like I have trouble ranking them because I think they're all like distinct experiences that are sort of good in different ways. Usually, I guess TV and film the most similar to each other. But for me, it's like I probably do reading the least in terms of literature because it just takes so long to get through a book. And I guess that's how I am with games as well to some extent because it's like I can't play. I've talked about before how I can't play open world games successively and I can't play like massive role playing games in a row because it's that thing of, for me, I feel like it's the time factor of just like I can't spend that much time on one thing, I guess. Like, so for me, it's kind of films are more accessible than most pieces of media because you only have to commit like an hour and a half to like 3 hours usually. So it's easier than like a TV show that's like 8 seasons or something where you're like, oh, like you almost like, oh, well, I really like this, but now I've got to, like, now I'm in for, like, the long haul, Or, like, you start, like, a Yakuza game and you're like, okay, so now I'm in for 120 hours. So I find it easy to watch movies usually because it's just nice to be able to find, like, a short section of time to get, like, usually a self-contained story that is just, within that 2 hour runtime and you just get it and that's it. So it's quite nice. But I'm glad that you've been able to watch stuff and that you're getting that itch again.
but what have you been playing? Go ahead and start with what you've been chasing.
Yeah, so I mentioned before, I've been playing a ton of Apex. Still love it, but it's gotta stop. It's too much multiplayer gaming that I am enjoying, and it's great as well because I've been playing some solo, and solo is kind of nice. There's not a solo game mode, so with like random people online, it's been nice because that's kind of good for like when I want to focus on my game. I guess like focus on how I'm playing. Then it's nice when you play with friends to sort of be a bit more laid back and just sort of use it as an opportunity to socialize as well as play. And then, so they kind of feel distinctive in playing solo versus playing with friends. And then when you play with friends, it's like different depending on who joins as well. So it kind of feels like it's so varied, even though I'm just playing like the same game on like the same map over and over again, essentially. But it's been great. People have come on, and it's been really good to play with different people on there and talk over voice because I don't speak over voice to people that often. I'm normally more over text. So it's been good. Played some more ranked as well, which has been going well. Then I moved on to play a little Rogue Legacy, but not much. Really, not much at all. Not enough to like have progressed to anything new. Like just done a few runs to get some more gold, basically, and that's it. Then I also played a game called A Memoir Blue, which is Annapurna interactive game. Came out on Game Pass. I don't know if it's on PlayStation or not, and I wouldn't really recommend it. You would probably like it more than I liked it. It's a walking simulator game that is very I don't know, because I was going to say poetic, but it might be giving it too much credit, perhaps. I'm not really sure. It's a very. Are you familiar with the game Virginia?
I'm not, but I've heard of it.
Okay, that it's sort of like, I mean, there's a game that's, this is quite a bad game, but there's a game where the bees make honey as well. Basically, it's one of those indie games where it's about an hour or 2 hours long, and not much is spoken, not much is said, but there's a lot of beautiful imagery, and that imagery may be personal to the creators of the game. I assume it is, and then it may also have a personal resonance with you, and it adds to the narrative of the game. But the narrative is pretty thin and sort of told through these visuals rather than told through dialogue or an intricate type of narrative, which is fine. I like that sort of simple personal style sometimes. I just thought in this case it was a little too thin, and I enjoyed my time with it. I like that it's a simple story and sort of about someone's life, but I don't know if I'd recommend it really. I mean, it's nice to sort of relax to it and just look at it and enjoy it, and it's not very gameplay heavy, obviously. You just sort of click on things in the environment for the most part, and it's got a very easy achievement list. And Maka has a full game walkthrough that's, I think, 53 minutes long or so. So if you want 1,000 gamer score, you can get it pretty fast. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, there's nothing offensive about it. There's nothing that's sort of annoying to deal with. There's no egregious microtransactions. There's nothing that would really upset you, but there's also nothing that really compels me about it, I'd say. So easy achievements. What I do like actually a lot is that the achievements are pretty much all optional. So all different side stuff. Like, there's one where you have. I'll give you. I guess this will tell you about the type of game that it is as well in more specifics. There's a part where you have like a glass of like lemonade or something, or a glass of water, and it has 3 ice cubes in. And what you're supposed to do is, if you drag the ice cube to the bottom of the glass, the cube sort of turns into a fish, and then the fish flows around the glass. But if you throw the ice cubes out of the glass, if you throw all 3 out before they like respawn back in the glass, you get an achievement. So, but it's one of those games, like you put ice cubes to the bottom of a glass, and then it somehow spawns fish, and then that it relates to swimming and all of that kind of stuff. So it's kind of a crazy game in that sense. I preferred there was a game, The Artful Escape, which is a similar type of Annapurna game.
That was last
Um,
year.
yeah, and I enjoyed that one a bit more, and I think it had a bit more interactive elements to it that was more fun. But it was that same style where it's kind of crazy out there, but you just sort of essentially walk around and look at the pretty images is sort of the main. It's almost like those games that they feel like, people say walking simulators, but they're almost like interactive art exhibits, really. Only they're sort of linear, so you can't really go backwards and forwards. But that's sort of how I see them, or games like this. But it was a chill time, easy achievements on Game Pass. You might get more out of it than me as well if you have, I don't know, a relationship with, I guess in this case, perfectionism and athletics. I mean that's, perfectionism is something you can relate to, and then also swimming and nature and that type of thing, and also relationships with your parents and stuff like that. Like, all of that is touched on in the game, and some of it's interesting and some of it can resonate. So yeah, it was a relaxing time.
Is that all you've played?
Oh, I also played. I thought you were going to ask a question about the game, but I also played.
I was gonna ask a question. I forgot about that.
Okay.
It was more that I looked up Virginia, and then the very first thing that Virginia said is it's a first person interactive drama, and I was gonna ask if that's how you describe this game. It's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, they are like that, but they don't.
all these walking simulators are pretty much first person interactive dramas. That's how I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah, it's not. This game isn't really first person, but it's. Yeah, I mean, it is an interactive drama, definitely, but it's not really that dramatic. I mean, I feel like an example of the version of this game that I like more, and it's not the same type of game. but it'd be something like 12 minutes, which we both quite liked, where it's got more interactive gameplay elements and it's got more sort of that's going on in like the actual sort of narrative
Yeah, I
instead
love
of
that.
sort of an out there like metaphorical narrative, I guess. So I prefer something like that, but I did still enjoy my time with it, and it does look beautiful as well. And then the other thing that I was playing, I played Trivial Pursuit Live 2 some more. I did a couple of sessions with some people. That game's been really hard. For some reason, that game, no other game, like in my group of friends, is as hard to sort of get a session together. And it's like always like really unlucky circumstances towards like why we can't join up. Like we always miss each other by like 10 minutes, or like something we thought would take like half an hour takes like an hour or whatever. And it's like always that game, like it's like that game's cursed. Because if everyone's like setting up to like play like Halo or Apex, and it's the same group of people, it's like or like the same size group of people, it always goes well with the others immediately, and then Trivial Pursuit for some reason it's like the world wants to stop us. But we finally got to play more of that game, and I love it. I mean, it's just really fun to talk about trivia, to answer trivia questions, to use it as inspiration for conversation, that kind of thing. I used to be in a pub quiz society at university, and I might go back into it because I just really enjoy the atmosphere, the questions themselves, learning things. It's a great time, and it makes me as well. Both this and Apex, it wants to make me go back to Deep Rock Galactic and maybe Payday 2, because there's a lot of really fun, unique co-op games out there. And the only problem is always organizing like sessions with people, but because single player stuff, you can just play it whenever you want at whatever hour you want, no matter how messed up your sleep schedule is or how free your time is or whatever. You can just find time to play single player stuff, whereas co-op stuff you've got to have more organization about it. So that's the only thing really holding me back. But I want to get back into some co-op stuff because it's just such a fun time.
Yeah, I really love co-op games. I wish there were more, and I think as the industry grows, I think that they're starting to learn that co-op games can do just as well as these multiplayer games. It makes so much money. But yeah, I actually had a question about the Trivial Pursuit. Is this you were talking about all the things that you liked about it? Do you like the competitive nature? Like, do you?
Yeah, although so it's always been a joke when we play because the game isn't very good on a competitive level, because the way it works is there's like 5 rounds, either 5 rounds or 4 rounds. And for the first, let's say there's 5 rounds. If there's four, just -1 from everything I'm saying. The first 4 rounds, you build up points, and then as you get points, you get wedges. But it kind of increases in that, like it's really easy to get the first wedge, and you're pretty much guaranteed to get 3 wedges, even if you don't do that great. And then the fourth wedge is like you might get a fourth wedge, or you might not. And when you fill up all the wedges, I think is it 6 wedges that you need total in Trivial Pursuit? Maybe, I don't know. I've never really counted them, but yeah, when you fill up all of the wedges, you win. You win the game, and if you do that first, you win.
That's very
So
cool.
normally it's between like 3 and 4 in the first 4 rounds, and then in the final round, what you get is you get like 50-50 options. So you get like you either have to press like X or B, and it will be usually like two names. Like I don't know, like I'll give you an example. I guess for one question we had, it would give like a bunch of statements about one of like two people, and it would be like Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking. So it'd be like one of these, founded SpaceX, and then you click Elon Musk, right? So it's like that kind of thing where it'll ask you something, and you either have to press which of the two options it is, and then you get like a series of those. And the idea is, if you get it wrong, everyone answers at the same time, and if you get it wrong, you're knocked out. And if you get it right and you get all of them right, you get a wedge immediately. Or if you get more right than anyone else gets, then you get a wedge. And that essentially ends the game really, really quickly. So, like, at the end, it's basically like sudden death. And so it's always been like a joke that basically the first 4 rounds don't matter at all, because if you just get everything right at the end, or most of the stuff right at the end, you get wedges so quickly that you'll just overtake everyone and win pretty comfortably. So the first rounds basically don't matter. The only way they end up mattering is if you get like that fourth wedge and everyone else is stuck on three. Like if you just barely get the fourth one, then you've got like an advantage going into the final round. Or if it ends up being a tie, so like let's say there's one of these like 50-50 rounds and you and another guy have like 5 out of 6 wedges, and then you both get all of those questions right, so you both get awarded the sixth wedge. The tiebreak is then decided on points, and points are what you've been earning like for the whole game up until then. So then those early rounds matter, but most of the time they don't matter at all. And there's been tons of times where the person in first at that point ends up being in last in the game overall, and vice versa. You could be in last and then you could come first based on that round. I say that, although whenever you play with the AI, so normally we end up having 3 people for sessions, sometimes 4, but the AI sucks in this game, and I don't think there's a way to like increase the difficulty. But the AI will come last like every time. I don't think the AI has ever beaten a human player that I've played with. So maybe everyone everyone we play with is obviously cracked and has a galaxy brain, but at the same time the AI just isn't good. It just gets way too much obvious stuff wrong for no reason. So I've never seen technically the last place AI ever become first, but other than that I've seen every other type of rearrangement, and it feels like it's pretty common because that last round just throws everything into chaos, which is really entertaining. Like I enjoy it, but it makes the game feel less competitive and skill based overall, because the first 4 rounds you can basically just not take it seriously and then just sort of focus up on the final round.
That's very interesting. But is that all your games?
Yeah, that's everything.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot to say with mine. So I was playing Lost in Random, and I was about to finish it, and I missed a collectible, and there's no chapter select, so I had to play it again. But the thing was, I didn't know it until it happened. Another trophy glitched. There's 6 different parts of the game where you have to solve a puzzle for a trophy, and then once you solve them all, it dings a gold trophy that's like you solved all the puzzles. And I found out that that's bugged. And so on top of missing the collectible, it didn't ding that other trophy. And so I was like, is it worth playing again for that one collectible, or should I, move on? And I ended up doing it, and it popped both trophies. There was someone who said, like, don't exit the game, like just do all of the puzzles in one run and it will fix it. It will give you the trophy. And so I was like, I guess I can do that. And I liked the game enough to where it wasn't a chore. It was definitely not a chore to play this game again. I really enjoyed the writing, and I enjoyed the art style and the combat. So I really was having fun on my second playthrough. And a lot of other people said they played it 2 times just normally. Like that's what they did. And I was not planning to play it twice. I planned to just play it once and get all of the missables, which, by the way, there's 22 missables in the game. So it's just like 22 missable trophies. And I ended up, like I said, only missing one, but had to replay the whole thing. But it was a really fun experience, and now I'm done, and I deleted it. And then I wanted to start playing other games, and I downloaded Far Cry 6 and I downloaded Ghostwire Tokyo because they were on sale. And the thing that happened was, after I had bought those, it's in that situation where I'm like, oh, I'm going to just download these games, and it's like, oh, hey, your storage is full. And I'm like, ah, shit. I did not know that my storage was full. And it's because I've been playing a lot of games that I like a lot. Cyberpunk I didn't delete because I want to be able to jump back in and just play when I want to. And I didn't delete Horizon because I just want to be able to jump back in when I want to. I didn't delete Returnal because I just want to jump back in when I want to. Like, that's what I do with a lot of games that I really love. And
What
now
about
it's
if you delete Far Cry 6 as soon as you bought it?
I could do that. It's 91 gigs, dude.
Yeah.
What the hell is that about? Why
Yeah,
is
it's
it
huge.
so big?
It's also like it's like 80 hours long or something as well.
Oh no, I'm in for a long haul. Damn it. Okay, but I downloaded these games, and I was like, okay, but I've said so many times I'm gonna play Sifu. So Sifu is like the next game on my list, and I didn't have space, and so you know what I had on my console, AJ? Life
What?
is Strange: True Colors. The game never got deleted. and it's because I was gonna play the DLC Wavelengths, and I was like, oh, why don't I just play Wavelengths and then delete it? So that's what I did, and it was really fun to like spend some time with Steph. And dude, that game is just such a vibe. Like seriously, that game is just constantly vibes all the time, and I was just like really enjoying my ride with it and exploring the record shop and just
How's the DLC then? Is it good?
yeah, it was good, but it only takes place in the record shop. So there really wasn't much going on. It's just more about like interacting with the environment. It really is like this is hardcore a walking simulator. You know, you go from one room to
Yeah.
another. You're just looking around and
The
grabbing
way
like
you're describing it right now, it sounds like they just had like an obligation to Square Enix to do a DLC, and they
it
were
really
like,
did feel that way, but
just throw
it's
this
still
shit
like
in.
yeah, it's really good writing, but it's just like I don't know if I could justify like recommending this 3 hour thing
Right.
because it's just more information
You
about
have to pay
Steph.
for it.
No, it's free. It was free.
Okay. All right. That's fine then.
Yeah, it was totally fine. But it just was again, like I said, it's just more about Steph before the events of the game. Which, by the way, when Alex walks in the store at the very end of the DLC, because this happens, and it's like, oh, now the game is starting, and it's just like there was just like a feeling in my heart that's like, oh man, events, the events that are about to happen. Oh shit! But it was fun. So I enjoyed I enjoyed playing that, and then I played a little bit more Rogue Legacy. I got to level 53, and that's that's when I beat the first boss. Dude, I'm so bad at this game. I couldn't beat the boss until then. So
You can do
that
it. We saw.
uh,
Well, we. I'm sure you've seen, but Sean got the platinum.
I did see it. I did see that Sean got the platinum.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
He raced ahead of both of us.
He did. He took that game out so
Yeah.
quickly. I'm so like I've been asking him for advice because I'm just not I'm not good at this. But
Yeah. For me,
yeah,
it's just. I've just been distracted by other things, really. Just not had that much time. But it was always going to be like I talked to you about it before. It's the way I see that game is like a nice, like casual, like do a couple of runs here and there type game. But the only like word of warning with that is if your skills, I guess, atrophy or like you forget the enemy types or the room layouts, then it's like it's going to be harder to sort of get the completion in the end. Like it kind of makes sense for. There's a lot of difficult games, and I'd consider the platinum in this game to be difficult, where it can be better to just sort of like no life the game in that you just sort of play that game and only that game whenever you have time to play something, and then that can make it a bit easier in terms of just keeping all the muscle memory, keeping everything in your head. But for me, I find roguelikes quite relaxing, so usually rather than stressful, but I know other people find them stressful. So for me, I'm okay with taking it slow, but it depends. I think it's just the repetition of the genre. I feel like going crazy unless you're like really addicted to the gameplay loop, which happens to me sometimes. It happens to me for Enter the Gungeon and Slay the Spire and Hades to some extent, but not really with this game. So for me, I'm just taking my time with it.
I really enjoy it. I'm also playing it more casually where I'm going in and I feel good after I've had a couple of runs and I get an upgrade or two, and I'm like, yeah, that was productive, that I made progress in this game. It's not like I'm just stagnant and I'm just going through and I'm not being able to do anything. So
Yeah, the
every
fact
time
that you always make progress to me that makes it so it feels like there's no real rush for me to beat it. Because I think some roguelikes, or I should say roguelikes and not roguelites, because roguelites are the ones where you have permanent progression, like Rogue Legacy. But yeah, roguelikes, it can be frustrating, but also kind of a driving force where it's like if you die or you fail, you sort of lose everything. So then it can kind of make you want to like play over and over and over again because you're like, I've got to make progress today. I'm not just going to go through today and just like be back where I started at the start of the day. Whereas with this game, it's like if you do anything like a single run, you've already made incremental progress, and that can feel satisfying, but also it can feel like you're not being pushed forwards as much as maybe you would be otherwise.
Yeah. I feel good when I play the game. Even though I'm not very good at it, it makes me feel good because it's like every single enemy I can take out. And I'm starting to get to the point where I can almost one hit every enemy on that first stage. So that starts to feel good no matter what class I am. And if I can continue to do that, then that'll, make me stronger. But I'm clearing space on the PS5. So another thing that I've been doing is going through my media section because the PS5 takes screenshots and videos of every single trophy that you get. So there's some trophies where it's like, and you'll know this well from getting achievements, but you'll be in the middle of a loading screen and you pop the achievement and it could be a black screen or anything like that, and it's just like that is just wasted space. It's just wasted space. So I've been deleting stuff like that or
Oh
don't.
god, that reminds me of the Xbox game DVR kind of sucks in that like it takes ages to like get up the clips and the editing functionality isn't very good, and also I don't think there's a way to allocate more space to the recordings. Like you can upload them to OneDrive or you can put an external hard drive to your Xbox and then format it for game clips, which I might actually do. I might just give up and do that because I record a lot of clips and screenshots when I play Apex because it's like one of those games where you get like good like highlight reel type clips
Yes.
and screenshots as well. Like, you know, there's a few games I've had with Shane where like there was one where I got like 19 kills and or rather 18 kills and like 19 knocks or something, and then us as a duo we got like 25 kills in the game or something, so it's like we eliminated like half the lobby ourselves. And there's like a bunch of games like that where I'm like proud of it, and also like either I've done well or my teammates have done well, and it's like it's nice to capture screenshots for that. But the space fills up so quickly that it's like I've got to go back and like delete everything, and it only tells you afterwards like that you don't have enough space on like your Xbox Live account or whatever to do it. So you have to delete stuff and then re-upload the stuff that the upload failed for. And yeah, it's super annoying. It's way more annoying than it should be. I don't know why it's just slow. I mean, it's always going to be slow to some extent because it's 4K video and it's like 30-second clips, so you know it's going to be slow to like download it and to upload it and things like that just by the nature of the size of the file, I suppose. But it's still more tedious than it should be, and I've got to go back and like sort through the clips. But then the problem is I need to, none of the clips are labeled, like they're just labeled based on the game name. So I don't want to like delete one of like my best clips ever of like of something, but I also don't want to, when I just want to get more space, I don't want to have to like go through and watch every single clip I've ever made to decide which ones I want to delete. And the thumbnails, there's nothing to really differentiate the videos based on thumbnails that well either. So yeah, it's just annoying to sort through, annoying to upload.
I have to agree, and I have to say that it's not just an Xbox problem. I just want you to know that like PlayStation has awful upload situations with the media files and the screenshots, dude. There's been so many instances where on PlayStation at the bottom of like the quick menu bar. Sorry if you can hear my TV turned on, but I wanted to see how much storage was taken up by my screenshots. If I remember correctly, it was 58 gigs, dude. That's a lot.
That's insane. Yeah,
That's
on Xbox it seems to be like you have like storage on the console and then you have storage on Xbox Live, and if you want to do anything with the, like if you want to send it to people or download it or anything, it feels like you need to upload it to Xbox Live. So it's kind of pointless keeping it on the Xbox itself. But the storage amount on Xbox Live doesn't seem very high, and I wish I could make it bigger somehow or do something about that, but yeah, it's really annoying.
Yeah, and I spent some time this morning deleting, and I was right. It's so I still have 56.44 gigabytes of screenshots and recordings on my PS5, and so I want to sit down and like go through them, and then I would also love to upload them like onto Google or something. But back to what I was saying about the screenshots and stuff is like sometimes I want to send my friends cool video clips of like things I've done in single player games. It's like, oh yeah, dude, I slid around this corner and I popped this guy in the head, and then I popped up and I jumped over this cover and I shot this guy. And like it feels cool and it looks cool. And it's like I want to share this. And then I get like 6 failed uploads because the file size is too large. And I don't know why the network is just so bad on PlayStation to where like it's really hard to send people like screenshots and clips of your stuff. It's just it's not it seems like that could be fixed. I don't know. But and it's like I said, it's definitely not an internet problem because I just got fiber and fiber is 1 gig per second and it should be able to just upload these no problem. But it's definitely the network of PlayStation just not handling these uploads and downloads very well. But yeah, let's talk about the topic on the table because I don't have any other games to talk about. And the idea that I had, and this actually ties to everything we've been talking about with deleting space and doing things like that, because Returnal just a couple months ago got a expansion for free and it added more trophies. And so I'm like, oh, I could play that and get those trophies and then delete that game if I'd like. And then Horizon just yesterday, or not yesterday, but during the state of play, it also got an update for new trophies. But that's whenever it hit, it's like all of the trophies are New Game Plus trophies. And it's way, way too soon to replay that. So then I started thinking, I was like, when is the right time to like return to a game that had added trophies? Or another situation that popped up, because this is all this week. Norman Reedus was in an interview and he was talking about how he's been working on something with Kojima, and there's been speculation that it could be Death Stranding 2. And so then it made me think, oh, hey, is now the time to go back to Death Stranding and re-platinum it because it got a next gen release, but it's not. I don't know if you can auto pop the trophies. I think it's a separate list. So I've been wanting to replay that game anyways, but I'm like, what if I wait until that game's announced and it's like right at the release? Because I know a lot of people already, man, like they've already purchased it, they platinumed it, it's over. But it's like, when is the right time to replay these games that you've played, or to rehunt them or whatever?
Yeah, I think for me, the first thing is if they add DLC or update trophies or achievements, I'd say probably like 90% of the time I'm not going back to the game when I'm done with the game. I have to really like the game. Like if the game's, I don't know, a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10, there's no way I'm coming back probably, because there's always that barrier to entry of like I've got to relearn how to play. And maybe there's some games, especially role-playing games, where it's like the DLC is like halfway through the game. Like you have to get like a new save halfway through the game to even do the DLC. And so for that, it's like, okay, so I've got to like do everything again to even access this stuff. And for things like that, it's normally not worth it to me. And it can be difficult to get me to go back. Usually what I'll do is try and wait until all the updates are out. The only exception to that really is if I truly am like fully in love with the game and want like any excuse to come back to it. Or if the stuff that's added is like multiplayer time sensitive type stuff where it's like, new maps and new modes and they're only going to be around until the next season, or they're only going to be around while the player base is active and, people might stop playing the game. So for me, I'll normally try and wait until everything's out and then do it in like one mega playthrough. But you can't ever predict updates or DLC, like when a game launches, or like how much you're going to like the game. So it's really difficult to know when's the best time to go back. I think it's always annoying too, like you said about like the memory stuff, if like the game's like 100 gigabytes or something, so you have to like reinstall everything and then delete everything. Because what's annoyed me sometimes is you'll get a game and there'll be like one particular mode or like DLC will be like in one section, but you have to reinstall the whole game to get to it, and the whole game might be massive, and you just want to play like 2.5 gigabytes worth of content in that download, because then when you download it, you feel like I got to get to this right away so then I can delete it, because it's like all this unused, like all this space taken up by this like tiny segment that I want to play. But I find it tough. I mean, there's games that I need to go back to that I haven't gone back to, in terms of even stuff like the Outer Wilds, or sorry, the Outer Worlds, Outer Wilds as well, because that's also got DLC. But I am going to get to that, I think. Whereas the Outer Worlds had 2 DLC packs, I think. Yeah, like 2 expansions, and they're quite good. They're like, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours long each. They got good reviews. I've heard great things about them. Apparently, the writing's really strong in one of them in particular. There's some like murder mystery stuff going on in one of them as well. So I'm really interested in them, but I've just never been able to go back to it because it's like I don't want to start a whole new playthrough, and I've forgotten so much about the game that it's going to be too hard to get back into. So I find that stuff really, really difficult. And then in terms of like replatting, like you said about Death Stranding, which is kind of a thing I view separately. Again, it's like how much do I love this game and how much time is it going to take? Death Stranding is huge, so that would be hard to get me to do it. Like I can see how daunting that would be. For me, there's games where it's like, I guess Dead Space, for example, with the remaster or remake rather. That's one that I'll be there day one. And if it was, if honestly, if they released like basically the exact same version as the 360 version, but gave it another achievement list, I'd go back and do it. And there's very few games I'd say that for, but there's certain games like that where there's been like nothing similar or nothing on that level for so long that it's like I have to go back if I got the chance. Mirror's Edge is another one where if they did anything with that original game, I'd just be like right back there immediately. And that also ties into what you said about Death Stranding, because that game is so unique and original, and you can't really get what that game gives you anywhere else. So it feels like you sort of have to go back as soon as possible in some ways.
Death Stranding has a lot of cinematics in it, and that's why I would love to replay that if there's a sequel announced right before it comes out, so that I can go through all of those crazy ass cutscenes again. But you made a lot of points that I resonate with a lot because of the fact that, like, Returnal, I just want any excuse to play it. That game feels so fucking good. It is a rogue like, right? Because that's the one where you don't get, you do, I guess you keep 5 total tools in the game, but that's it. Like, you don't get upgrades, you don't get anything like that. You die, you start over. And the
Yeah.
reason that you get the tools is to continue to progress, kind of like a Metroidvania, where it's like, oh, you have to have that tool to get up there, and it's like, oh, so whenever you get this, you get to keep it so that you can zip line and do whatever you need to do to get across large distances and things like that. But now there's trophies for that, and it's like, yeah, I do want those trophies, and I do want to go play it at all times. It's like, and not only that, but it's added co-op, dude. Are you kidding me? Now I can play with my buddy? Like, hell yeah, let's fucking go. Like, I'll show you how good I am at this game, because you never get to see it because it was single player only. And it's like, bro, you're about to be so impressed by me because I'm so fucking good at this game. I'm pretty sure I beat it in, like, okay, it was my second time, but my first time I beat it in 13 deaths, and my second time I beat it in 6. And so it felt good. Like, I was good at the game,
Nice.
and I'm really, really excited to get back to it. But it's just another one of those situations where I don't really I'm in no rush to get to it. It's not going anywhere. I love the game so much, but I really am in a rush to, like, I really want to play Sifu, and I want to be ready for Stray when it comes out. So I don't want to have games on the backlog, or like that I started whenever Stray comes out, which Stray is a month away, so I have time. I'm thinking about probably playing Sifu, platinuming that, and then going back to and I have multiple games like this where Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't remember. I don't know if you remember this, but I got all but 2 trophies on that game, all of in one run, in one playthrough without a guide. I got all of the trophies except for 2, and I looked up the last 2, and one of them is bugged, and I'm just afraid to replay it. And it's not like that game would take me a long time, it'd take me like 10 hours to get through the whole campaign, but it's just like there's a collectibles trophy that's messed up. You're supposed to get like 65% of all of the collectibles in each of the categories that the game has. So seeing this many enemies and scanning that many enemies, 65% in there, and like 65% of the booklets picked up, and 65% of the character artifacts picked up, and everything like that. And it's just like, for some reason, people get like 100% of everything, and it never pops. And I'm like, I don't want to go back to that game and like replay it when I love the game, but it seems like there's just much more that I would rather play right now than trying to do that just for a trophy.
Yeah,
And
I
so
definitely. I feel like I'm holding off on Guardians because of stuff like that. And there was The Ascent. I played that when it came out, and I need to go back to it. But that game was in like a mess technically when it came out, and I played it pre-launch, I think, and it was okay. Like it was playable, but in terms of the achievements are usually like the first thing to break in games. Um,
Yeah.
so like most people normally don't have any issues, but then we're like, what the fuck? Like you got to fix this. So for me, yeah, I need to go back to that game, but I haven't. And when you were writing about this in the document, I had some other ideas of stuff that's broken for me, and that I need to come back to it. So I've got what annoys me about broken achievements and stuff that you have to go back to is when it's in like a big AAA tentpole game, because you feel like those are the games where it should be completely like rock solid. Like in like an indie game or in like a double A game, you kind of like have, I understand. Like hopefully they patch it soon, but I get it, whatever. But I've had two Call of Duty games where the achievements are glitched, and it's like, how are they glitched? How do you have like you have so many people work on these games I mean, I guess they're also the scale that they're at in terms of how complicated they are, goes up as well, and the budget's being used in lots of different places, but it's still really annoying to see because you sort of expect a level of, I guess, pristine quality with those types of games in terms of at least everything functioning properly. Not necessarily the game itself being like a masterpiece or anything like that, but I have an achievement in Call of Duty Vanguard, which is to eliminate 10,000 zombies. That achievement's broken. Spent hours and hours doing it, have every other achievement, doesn't work. Then there's Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which has an achievement to like win multiplayer matches. But this one's glitched for so many people, and apparently it seems to be like you have to go on like servers in like Brazil or something to make it work. Like it's really, really stupid the way you have to work around it. And that achievement, I wanted to get it first. Like when the game came out, I bought it because it came with the COD 4 remaster. I didn't really care about Infinite Warfare at the time. But when I played Infinite Warfare, I was like, I'm going to play a bunch of the multiplayer, because if I get the multiplayer achievements out of the way, then I can do the single player achievements in, 2026 or whatever. Like whenever I want, I can do the single player stuff. But the multiplayer stuff wouldn't unlock for me ever. So now I'm like, well, I guess I'm just not going to play the single player stuff either, because I wanted to get the multiplayer stuff done first, and the multiplayer stuff doesn't even work. So that was super annoying, both Call of Duty games. And then in Halo Infinite, there's an achievement called Medic that you couldn't unlock until recently, because the game mode wasn't even in the game yet, or the game mode sort of was in the game, but sort of wasn't in the game. And then they put the game mode in the game, and then the achievement still didn't work. And then finally they patched it so that it works, and it was a real headache. And it was a really easy achievement that you could just get in custom games afterwards anyway, when it finally did work. So that was another one where it was like hanging over me, like one achievement that I need to get, and it's not unlocking. So all of those really annoyed me because they were one single achievement, and in like a top budget, like flagship type release, that it's like, how does this not work for so many people?
I totally know what you mean. And I have way too many games like that. Way too many. I don't know. As I'm getting older and I've been doing this for so long, because I love trophy hunting. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we freaking do a podcast about it because I love it so much. But it's like I've resigned sometimes. I just get resigned where I'm like, yeah, that's glitched. I'm not getting the platinum. It's over. It's like that's exactly how I felt with Lost in Random. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to get the platinum, but I'm going to go as high as I can on this completion percentage. Like I had settled because I had read so much about the glitch trophy, and I was like, well, it's not happening. It sucks, but it's. I'll just play this game. I still loved it, even though I can't get the platinum and I can't 100% it. I still love the hell out of this game, and I don't regret playing it. But it's just like such a bummer. It's like what?
I always get, when I hear about achievements or trophies that are glitched, normally, because I'm sure you have the similar experience, but normally we like plan out to some extent when we're going for like a lot of completions. So normally a trophy or achievement being glitched isn't like a huge shock. Like it's not like most of the time for me, I already know that there's something wrong with it. For some people, and I just sort of hope that I'm not one of the people that it catches. rather than it being like a complete surprise. Like, what? No, why isn't it unlocking? You know, there's no like none of that aspect to me. Thankfully, usually. But I will say, hearing about achievements being glitched always sucks because you get like that like anxiety as you're like approaching the trigger point. You're like, is it gonna fucking work? Is it gonna work? And the worst one for me has to be isn't technically a glitch because it's also bad. You get it doesn't even have to be glitched. It can be like just like a really difficult thing. But there's an issue in Halo Master Chief Collection where if you do the lasso missions, legendary all skulls on, which is really, really, really difficult, especially Halo 2. Halo 2 is so unbelievably difficult in this mode. And there's reports of like the achievement to beat every mission on that difficulty doesn't unlock for some people. And the reason it doesn't unlock is because instead of going to there's a playlist called like Halo 2 Lasso in Master Chief Collection. If you do that playlist, you get the achievement, but if you do every mission like through mission select and you do the same requirements, so you do legendary all skulls on, the achievement won't unlock for you or something. So like there's one where like two totally legitimate ways of doing it, but one of them it's like it won't unlock. You have to do the playlist, I think. And so that gave me a heart attack because I'm like on the last mission, and this is the last mission of a whole campaign, right? And every mission takes you I don't know like 4 hours, maybe like a ridiculous amount of time because of how difficult it is. It's not like you're just playing through the missions like you normally are. You're normally dying like every 5 seconds, and so I was right at the end, and I was like, oh my god, if it doesn't unlock, I'm gonna kill somebody and myself probably. But the oh god, but it did work, and I was so happy about that. But there was also like horror stories. Like I was always reading the forum posts afterwards, and it's like there's some missions in Halo as well where the mission is a cutscene. Like the mission has like a mission name, but it's a cutscene. But for some reason, it counts in the tracking as like a level that you've completed that you have to complete. So some people will like skip ahead. Like they'll be like, oh, the first mission's a cutscene, so I won't do that on Lasso because you can't do it on Lasso because it's a cutscene. So then they won't get the achievement, and they'll have to like start the whole thing over again. And it's like, oh my god, why? Like, why would you make an achievement that evil and that difficult, and then make it like also so you have to do it in like like they should just make it so it counts for like all these different ways you can go around it. They shouldn't sort of screw you over like that.
I that Master Chief collection is kind of a mess. It's kind of a mess, but it's still so fun to play them. But yeah, man, I just and you're right with the big budget titles. It's actually much less forgivable. It's like you have a huge budget. This is going out to millions of people. What is your problem?
Well,
Like, why are
also
you?
for Call of Duty as well, it's like you made like 20 games. You make like one of these every year. Like
Yes.
how can you not do it? It doesn't make sense.
Dude, Ubisoft is one of the biggest like criminals with this. Like there's so many fucking Ubisoft games where there's always something glitched or bugged out. Like number one, they launch buggy, but number two, it's like they'll continue to fix all the bugs because it's like the casual gamers are like, oh my gosh, this game is buggy and bad, and it's like, yeah, so they're gonna focus on the visual bugs and audio bugs and all that stuff, and then they just leave the trophy and achievements, and they're like, I guess we fixed it, and it's like, dude, it's so far from fixed. Are you kidding me? And so
Yeah, it's always the last thing that gets fixed. The
it's
achievement
always the
trophy,
last thing.
especially when like you're screwed if an achievement or a trophy is known as like glitched, but it's only glitched for like 1% of people, and it's like a known glitch. Like everyone's like, yeah, this is glitched, and like you're screwed because there's some games where you like once you've got the achievement trigger, you can't then re-trigger it like ever. Like even if you uninstall the game, even if you delete all your set, no matter what, like you just can't get the achievement trigger to do it again. There's like a few games like that. So it's like if that achievement's glitched and it's glitched for like a low enough percentage of like the population, then it's like that's never going to be fixed. If it's glitched for everyone, then it's going to get fixed because, like no one can unlock it, so they've got to fix it. But if it's glitched for like 10% of people, there's every chance that they just don't care.
Dude, you saying that kind of triggered in me one of the most triggering achievements that I ever had. that didn't pop. It was like the last thing that I was doing, and I don't know. This has happened to me too many times. You talked about how you're like usually not blindsided by these glitches, but I got blindsided by Mad Max. I think you and I have talked about this before, but man, there's a collectible that's like outside the map and I can't get it. And it's just like, that's the last thing I need. It's the last thing. It's one piece, one fucking collectible, and it pops the trophy and it pops the platinum and it's over.
No, that
It's
sucks. That game has a ridiculous amount of collectibles as well.
it does, and it's just that one goddamn collectible. It has that one, but it's like I got blindsided on Lost in Random. It's because they patched the game, and then after the patch, it's just like this is hit or miss, and the guide maker hasn't updated the guide because I'm imagining after he finished it, it's like okay, that's done, but it's like you go all the way to the bottom and you like I control find a lot in that game because it helps you find the achievements, and it's like I got to the bottom and it's like everyone this guide should say glitch trophy possibly, it's like master puzzler or something, because again it's just so strange where you can do all 6 puzzles and then you just don't get the one where it's like you completed all the puzzles. You just don't get that one. So it's like, oh man, I did all the puzzles, but I didn't get the one that says you did all of them. So very, very frustrating. But then there's other people who are like, there's a fix for the glitch. You can just quit. You finish the puzzle and then you quit out and then you go back in and it starts the puzzle over again. And you can like try to do it over and over until it pops. Because for some people that works. And some people said like right in the middle of the puzzle, if you quit out, like say I don't know, there's like these tiles that you have to stand on while you're running the circle, you can just quit out and it'll pop it. But do you want to run the trophy and achievement of the week?
Yeah, let's do it. So mine achievement of the week is I was thinking, what am I going to pick? And then I thought, I'm going to lay it all on the line here because there's an achievement list that leaked in January for GoldenEye, a remaster of the Nintendo 64 game by Rare. And if you haven't been following the story, so in January, the achievements went live. And they seem to go live on like January 1st. So it seems like it was just like the two explanations were like, okay, so there's going to be a GoldenEye remaster that's going to come out, or it was this like thing that they were working on like 10 years ago, and they just set like the date for it to go public, like January 1st, 2022 or whatever, because they were like, whatever, who cares? It's just like a placeholder thing, and they just forgot about it. Because if that's the case, then maybe it isn't coming out. But then what happened was they found a couple of Rare developers have some of those achievements and unlocked them in January as well. Then what happened is people found that another developer started unlocking achievements in the game in May this year. Then the achievements went live, so True Achievements picked it up with like their trackers, but now it's on the Xbox website directly. And also, True Achievements have found that they've updated the names for a lot of these achievements, as in the past week or whatever, like in like the past couple of weeks, they've updated the names for these achievements. So what people are thinking now is GoldenEye will be announced at the Xbox and Bethesda show on Sunday, and maybe it'll shadow drop, maybe it will come out, I think there's like the 25th anniversary or something, maybe it'll come out in August, perhaps, or it'll shadow drop.
Shadow drop would be so good.
Yeah, so I thought because it might get announced and it might shadow drop, now would be the best time to choose an achievement from that list because, first of all, I can, tell the story to you and to the listeners to like look out for it on Sunday potentially. And also it means, everyone can clown me when it doesn't show up and be like, haha, what a wild story. What a load of bullshit they said for the last, 5 minutes of the show, as opposed to the rest of the show, which is a smaller amount of bullshit sometimes. But yeah, so my achievement of the week is James Bond, which is to beat the game on, I think, 00 Agent difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty in the game. And the achievement list is nice. I mean, there's a lot of speedrun achievements, and you seem to unlock like different weapons based on speedrunning, which I always quite like. Like, there's achievements to beat like facility in under a certain amount of time, and on a specific difficulty, and it will give you like more guns, I assume, to use in the multiplayer. And that seems really cool. Stuff like that is always really nice when they go above and beyond with the achievements and the unlocks and stuff like that. So
That,
if it comes out, if it's real, which I think it is at this point, but there's a chance it might not be. It could all be like an elaborate sequence of mistakes, and it might not exist. But if it does, that would be really cool. I'm excited for it. So shout out
just
to
the way you
GoldenEye.
just the way you described that GoldenEye achievement, it made me think, and we've talked about this a lot, and I really love it. But the way Resident Evil does their unlocks and stuff, and it's like, dude, could you imagine if like that game was allowing you to speedrun and like you get it barely, and that now you have an easier weapon to like speedrun even faster? Like that would be really, really cool.
Yeah, I know with GoldenEye, I mean, it's nice that they have like power times because GoldenEye has been a huge game for speedrunners in the past and still is. It's like one of the most exciting games to watch. So it's nice that there's like an incentive to do that. Like it'll be really cool. I'm not like a GoldenEye speedrunner or anything, but I imagine it'd be cool if you are like a GoldenEye speedrunner to then go and like immediately just get all of those achievements. Like as soon as it comes out, you just like you load it up and you just instantly do everything. I think that must be like so satisfying if you've like devoted a bunch of time to the original version of the game to do that. So it's nice to reward those fans as well and to represent the speedrunning community in some way like that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it if it ever actually comes out.
I'll keep my eye out, and I'm gonna give you a whole bunch of shit if it doesn't.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Um, so my trophy of the week is from Life is Strange: True Colors. I was just like, it's one of those situations where I went back to the game, so I looked through the list, and I was like, this is a bad list. It wasn't. I'd like, oh, collect this memory, collect that memory, collect all the memories of this chapter, complete this part of this chapter, and it's like, just complete the game basically. So I found one though that was Found Dog, and it's basically a side quest. Help the hoodie guy find his dog. I just found this charming because it's like, it's one of those things where in Life is Strange, like every character just has so much like meaning of life. I feel like, I don't know why it feels that way, just because maybe the game's so heavy, but it's just like this hoodie guy is looking for his dog, and you can help find it. It's pretty fun. But
Nice.
that's really it. Do you have any other final thoughts for this week, AJ?
No. I've got nothing
No.
to say to this audience.
I'm excited as hell for these events. Like I actually think I missed one yesterday, and I think there's something going on today. So I might like look around and try to see what I can find, because I think there's like a VR showcase today. Hold on. So June 6th, which was yesterday, there was a limited run games showcase, and then today there's two. There's not. There's just one. Upload VR showcase. That's it. But I'll probably watch it because I like VR. I think VR is fun. But I also love showcase. I just love this time of year where I get excited for video games. It's fun.
I got nothing
That's
to say
it.
until GoldenEye.
Until GoldenEye. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. Peace out. Happy hunting.
Nothing to say.
No. Thank you so much for listening to Complete Edition. If you like the content, consider supporting us on patreon.com/completion club. If you have any questions or would like to reach us, email completionclub@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to Complete Edition.